Over the course of a couple of weeks, I dumpster dived at an office building that was moving and, bagged myself office supplies for about 10 years. But amongst the goodies were a bunch of sort of emotion buttons. So it's probably for a team building exercise where, you wore a button that sort of reflected what you were feeling that day. So some of them said skeptical or optimistic, happy, others were more negative. And I left them out for just the local kids to pick up, and they basically rated them. They loved them. They rated all the good emotions, which, is very nice to see. And then so I was left with a lot of the negative ones. So I thought, well, what am I going to do with them? So one day, when it was too hot to do anything else, I went outside with a bunch of nail polish, and I popped that down onto some water. You drizzle it onto a small pan of water, different colors, and then I set about just dipping the buttons in. So I know this camera doesn't always focus very well. So yeah, I was able to sort of hold it by the button at the back, and then with a pair of tweezers I would grab onto the clasp and put it onto here to dry. And these little domes too were, this dome is one of about 4 that I dumpster dived. They're those things that you put over food to keep your bugs off of them when you're out picnicking. So some, as I said, were done with nail polish, and others were done with acrylic paint, so they're a bit more matte finish. Again, I'm not quite sure how well this is going to come into focus. This camera's not great for all kinds of things, but it does suffice, and I'm grateful to have it. So that's a nice one. That's kind of gold. That one's more of a matte finish with the red and the sort of pink and purple. I got a couple of my own favorites, which I may keep. This one here reminds me sort of either a forest at night or a skyline at night. Hopefully that'll come in. Maybe I should, there we go. There. That's a little bit better. All right, so again, if you've got a lot of old buttons, which most of us do, you're given them at volunteer events or sporting events or, for all sorts of things, and you don't want them anymore, this is sort of a creative reuse, and kids really like to do it. With the paints, it's even easier than the nail polish. You literally just put some blobs down, smush it around, maybe with a toothpick or the end of a spoon, and then you just dip it in and you see what you get. So again, a nice rainy afternoon activity, or a hot day activity in my case. It was just too damn hot to do anything else. For those of you who are not in Canada, we do get incredibly hot. It is tickling 90 degrees today for about I think this is the 4th day in a row. I think the heat is breaking tonight. Which is why I brought these in, because when it's this hot, sometimes paint and nail polish just won't set properly. All right, happy diving all.